Okay, we're live for the latest edition of the Data Value Show, staying human in the era, or the AI era, or the era of AI. Agents, echo chambers, and the context layer. But I'm sure we'll go off topic. And I'm pleased to say we've got Ramona back on the show, who's been very much focused on this topic recently. So, hey, Ramona, how you doing?
Hi, Chris. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, well, I'm all right. Just
Yeah.
for a Monday. No, it's
It's
yeah.
it's civic holiday in Canada,
Oh,
and
good for you.
let me tell you what a serendipitous moment this is, because my first guesting on your show was exactly a year ago on civic holiday. So
Wow,
yes,
great.
this
You
was
you
this
you've
was
manifested this, or everything was aligned or something.
Yes, and this really was not planned. It
No,
was just a natural, organic evolution.
and
So
it's yeah. In fact, yeah, which is linked on because I've been very quiet on LinkedIn for a little while because I do the shows, but I haven't been able
mhm.
to do enough promotion of them or do my posts and my thoughts of what's going on because I've just been on a hamster wheel
But
recently,
yes,
just getting stuff done. But I'm coming up for air now, so I've got a few posts out, and and both of them have got some connection. I did one that John Cook had done something similar, and I did the second one which you directed us to your Substack, which again was on a very very similar topic. So it's I haven't lost touch with what's going out there. That's good. So I'm still got my finger on the pulse of what's happening in the world.
of course. And Chris, so I know exactly that you've been on the AI hamster wheel, because last week on your podcast I was commenting like crazy, and you didn't list any comment, which you usually do, because you were so focused and you are so absorbed in the conversation. So then at the end I said, you know what, we need to talk. I should come on the show and talk about these things. But that was me bantering with my friend, right? So
Yeah, no.
because I had to leave you some I had to reach you out some way.
Yes, I
And
think was that the one when I was in Spain? Was that the one when I was?
you were, I don't know, I think you, I don't know where,
Yeah, no,
when you chatted with Veronica, you were in vacation.
yeah,
So
well, yeah, yeah.
I don't know where you were, but
Yeah, I was.
anyway.
Yeah, I was at Spain at my dad's. Anyway, look, we've gone straight into it, and we haven't actually introduced. So, for those that don't know, Ramona, would you like to introduce yourself and share with the community a little bit about what you do?
Okay, so I am a knowledge architect and data and AI strategist. So what does that mean? It's really, throughout my career, I've been focusing on three things, and these are the core pillars of my entire career and really my life: learning, building, and teaching. So this is my really three-step framework that defines everything that I do, and everything, the content that I produce, and that is all filtered through this framework. And actually, a year ago, when I first came to your thank you,
And,
Ryan.
Ryan never comes to the show normally, you see. So because unless he's on the show, no, I'm
Yeah.
joking. I'm sure he does. But yeah, so there you go. You're bringing in the stars already, Ramona.
So
Hi, Ryan. How you doing?
So when I was first on your show last year, I talked about the double helix, the human and the professional, and how we cannot separate. So it makes sense that what I say, right, that I've been using this framework in my career, in my personal life, because I cannot disconnect the two, and I don't think any one of us can, and that is why I really wanted to publish that article before coming to talk to you today about precisely those things, because I keep going, at a meta macro level, and this is a fractal framework. You can go up, you can go down, and you just cannot break. And the moment you allow yourself to separate what makes you human from what makes you a professional, I think that is where you start losing yourself, and then we vibe code our lives, how I called it. And it was a big, I had to sit on everything I wrote there for a while, because there's always that internal friction, right? People will think I'm cuckoo for saying these things, but I've been writing for the past 2 years, and I've been thinking and processing these ideas. So I just put them all together in the context of this vibing, right? That we are also consumed right now. So here, I haven't heard any pushbacks yet. The opposite is true, actually, that I provided a framework of folks to explore their own lives. So it's interesting because nobody came back to say, hey, I do this in my life, but I don't do it in my profession. It's the other way around. So just we show up professionally in way better ways than we show up in our personal lives, and that needs to change.
So I think the old analogy is a mechanic, his own car never gets.
Oh yes, or the shoemaker's kids.
And I suppose there is I think there may be an aspect of that we try and then the line between work and non-work is even more blurred. But just to unpack sort of some things there. So it's great that how to automate your life part as well. In fact, let's start with that. So there's lots of stuff we do that is just like it's a waste of time, a waste of effort, and we never like doing receipt, doing tax. You'll do it at the end. It's always a rush, Right, the way of automating that you capture this with low friction during your year, and then it's all done for you. Claims everything you need for it, just does it all for you. That's a great automation. I think automating, say, getting all your friends together to go out to dinner, and automating messages going out to them when you've seen a post that they're not very well, to send them a good luck thing, or to automatically set up rules that do these responses. Then that's not. It's a burden doing that, but you're losing the personal touch and the person. And the first time you made a mistake and it actually puts the placeholder thing in there, and they will, oh, okay.
Yes, exactly. That gives you away, right?
Yeah.
So
there's So I think there's probably 2 categories in your personal life of what is just noise that adds no value, and what is things that generate friction but they keep you human. And I think that's a fine line. And maybe there's I'll unpack that first. We'll see if that applies to business.
So Chris, our conversation right now, which by the way is the third in 1 year, right? I just mentioned that. Our conversation, me being here and us just having this friendly, open, raw, authentic, we built for that. I didn't just.
We couldn't automate that. We
couldn't exactly. So we connected on comments. We bantered. We did all those things, and we built. And this is how we build with any other connection that we make. I mean, it's not a transaction.
No.
Of course, there are transactional business connections, right? Because that is the reality.
Yeah.
But and it's. Well, we accept it, right? But then if we transactionalize our personal connections, then what exactly are we doing, really?
Yeah, which is actually what's happening on LinkedIn at the moment, isn't it? Really?
Yes.
Because, I still, and for me, the purpose of it, it's not to go and get loads of followers. It's not to go and, they're micro thoughts that I have that I like to share, and I get feedback from peers that I value their opinion.
Yes.
That shapes, where are things going. That's useful for me for information, but it's not a vanity project.
Absolutely.
I talk about this stuff even at a party, so even people don't want to hear about data or AI. So there's a lot of the motivation now. There's people teaching you how to become an influencer, how to
Yes.
You do all this many posts a day, talk about this. Here's a suggestion, and they're flooded with that. So some of the information is valid, yes, it is, but the person that's sending it or writing it, do they actually understand the context behind what they've written and real life experience of it? No. So what's the point of even putting it out there? It's now become noise that is just a repeat, an echo of someone else that's actually validly, probably with bad spelling, and not as many or something like that. But you just repeat something that someone else. It's not a new thought that you've created, which comes onto that echo chamber of that. If we only rely on these things to get the one answer, and everyone believes in that is the one answer, then the world's not going in the right place, because there is not only one answer to a question, unless it's a mathematical one. But there's and that's why we used to do research. So yes.
Okay, so let me unpack a little bit here, and especially that AI echo chamber that I wrote. So I was.
We got Ryan, our solo commenter today as well. So so I'm modest and humble as well, Ryan. I don't talk about the charity work I do or anything like that. So
when you have a podcast, you can generate content only from that, right? You announce the podcast, and then you prior to the time of the podcast, you repost it, and then after the podcast, you do a recap. So there you go. You have 3/4 just for one single podcast, right?
Exactly. It's not like the leftovers from Sunday dinner. You got something for each day. Beef sandwiches. Bubble and squeak 3 days out. So reuse. Not that we do that well. We probably need to, but. That's on my list of things to automate, because that's a valid thing to automate. Because
exactly.
It's your own content that you're just getting out there in an easier, more efficient way.
And Chris, we're going in all sorts of tangents here, but I guess it's fine, right? I've been on several podcasts lately, and actually since last time I was here and today, including on the Data Brothers. And one thing that I like to do actually, and this is the human part of it, I like to write the blurb of, okay, I want to talk about these things. What do you think, right? Because I realize that it's a privilege to be a guest on a podcast, and that person has to prepare for it, right? The host prepares for it. And if I can help with that process, why not do it? And
thank you. So I'm going to have to share with everyone. So normally I invite someone on there. They say, what do you want to talk about? And I'll give a suggestion. I may get some feedback or some tweak to the title, but it's normally I know what's on there. Today, I can honestly say I don't even know. Today, I knew the title. Ramona managed it. She sent it to Paul, who runs our marketing. He did the title. He set the show up. I probably reposted it. But I knew it was going to be relevant. That's all I had to care about. So thank you for reducing the friction of.
Of course, and Chris, in that, it works both ways, and if something is so easy for me to do, why not do it? Why put a burden? And then we are collaborating here. So okay. So that's not to say about. Well, in a way, I'm gonna use this as a segue to the AI seduction loop. So in a way, if I sent you the blurb, then I'm kind of, you
got control. You got control.
Yeah, I'm in control, exactly. So that if I post it first, there's no way for you to retract it. So you have to follow my direction.
Paul's got some strict, he won't let some of my posts go through or some of my wording. So he's a good firewall.
but it's. That is one way where we to examine this, but actually in reality is I'm thinking these thoughts in my head, right? So I want to talk, I want to share it with the world, but I'm too afraid because they maybe sound too fringy. So if I write the post and I put it out there in the world, it it's there, so I cannot take it back, and I have to follow through. So that's the approach, right? And that's why LinkedIn is not a vanity project, because we just wanna. When you have that vulnerability and courage to just put your fringy thoughts into the universe, then it is there, and that's how you find the people who align, and that's how you find the people who don't. And it's a filtering mechanism, and it's encouraging, right? And the more we do it, the more we build that courage to do it more, and we build the confidence. Okay, my thoughts are valid. Maybe the world is not ready for my thoughts, but there are others.
People don't have their own thoughts. So anyone that doesn't have the courage now to go and do LinkedIn, they're not going to do their first post without having some Gen AI look over it. So they've unfortunately, that era's gone. So what I quite I research all my old posts now by Gen AI. I do so, and it will always link back quotes. So now I know that anything I'm doing is all linked to my own content. So I can recycle and upcycle and refine my own content now. Much easier. Something I wanted to. So we had our own personal life. What's good things to automate and what's not. We talk about the business side. What's good and what's not. And I won't go to extreme cases of Skynet or Terminator levels, but in the business, the personal touch is still needed in business. People buy products or work with people because of the people. So there's a certain level of marketing that you probably can automate, or the sales process you can automate. Certain things that you definitely can't, because the success rate is going to be much lower, and probably the speed to go and actually convert these particular sales is going to take even longer, because the sales cycle will be increased, because you probably there isn't that personal connection there yet. So there's I think a divide which is quite easy in that one. I think in the engineering data space that we work in, I think it's linked to my post, one of the ones recently, which was agents going rogue, I think I called it. So again, I have been doing a lot of vibe coding and stuff. I've been optimizing our internal processes, automating a lot of the stuff that the team were doing that wasn't the best use of their time. They can now spend their time on either paid for work, when before it was doing admin stuff that no one likes doing. Admin stuff, so it gets the last thing that happens. But unfortunately, it's key part of the whole process. So done some great work on that. I've learned what works, what doesn't work, and on that journey, learned quite a bit of how these things work. And what I found was my knowledge of writing requirements, writing a high level design or component, understanding the code well enough to be able to look over it and see obvious things that aren't, and also understand the whole refinement process. And if you think that you can go and let this thing architect you a solution,
I think I can.
It's never going to happen. It can engineer something you architect and maybe help you refine what your architecture is or your overall solution is. But the other thing you need to remember is it is an echo chamber. It will never tell you you're stupid. And I'm not recommending that people go out and tell people they're stupid, but during my career, if I've done stupid things, people have told me I'm stupid. And what are you doing that for like that? You should do it like this. That's ridiculous. And oh yeah, and you'll know why. This will let you do ridiculous things, and it will just carry on going that one until you tell it or suggest something, and it'll say, "That's a really good idea." And well, why didn't you give me that idea? The ideas. So the thing that I don't see being removed for the near future anyway is the ability to actually design a system what you need it to be and have have agents helping code it, and you will need some coders in there that are like, well, some productionization capabilities within there. But the things I used to take ages back when I used to code, it was really to go and construct dynamic views or dynamic stuff in ETL. Mm-hmm. You take your ages to design these. You've got the quotes all around it. But the thought of the design to what it could do is where the value was. The effort, unfortunately, was actually going to build it. But if you can design good things, it can engineer them for you very well. I've created some pretty cool things around it, which is it shows that the friction of building things now has been removed, because you can vibe code, but if you're starting from nothing, you need to understand at least what you're building, and you can't just wing it. You're going to end up with a mess.
Oh, Chris, I have been writing so many posts about this, and I even managed some really cool memes. So we align so much, including how I came up to these conclusions, and I've been writing and developing these frameworks for how to work with AI. And okay, so let me unpack this. It's really, I cannot agree more with you than the fact that if you don't use these tools, and if you don't push yourself and the tool, you cannot unpack these things that you've unpacked. So, and I think this is a huge problem, because a lot of people use the tools and just take the answer that it gives it and moves forward. And absolutely agree that we should be in charge with the design. And when we allow them to implement, we have to be very mindful there as well. Because simple example, I wrote about that. I don't know if you've noticed posts on LinkedIn. Oh, well, you probably didn't, because you have been a little absent. But yes. I've seen so many generic posts that use this arrow pointing right as a bullet point, and it.
That one.
No. It starts like it's not just the arrow. It's like this.
Okay.
It has a name in the Unicode. It has a name.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I've seen that so much, and I asked Gemini, what is that symbol? And I didn't know. So it kept telling me it has the Unicode code of this. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to double check this. So I went and I Googled it, and it gave me a different Unicode code. I went back, I said, hey, you're incorrect. This is the code. No. And then said, oh, I've searched these websites, and it listed websites, and it's exactly this. It's exactly what I'm saying. Lied again. I went to the official Unicode page, and then I confirmed what I found. So think about it. You have a workflow where you put your agents, right? And this is a simple thing. You're not going to double check that it returned the Unicode of. So this is so atomic, right? And then that goes into production, and then from that you build something else, and then you build something else, and in the end, how do you trace that back, right? Like remember when we were kids and the telephone game, how do you trace that back? So you have to have a mechanism, and we can go on to the context part that you've been working on lately. So we allow a drop, or an insignificant drop, right, on the big ocean, but that
exactly. So I mean, I've been arguing with GPTs, right? And so I've got a bit of a cycle now where I can actually refine it. So you catch it out with a bit of an AI development life cycle, but on a very low sort of low scale sort of thing. It's not like I'm waiting for our new hire that starts in 2 weeks' time. Who's on the show in 2 weeks? I'll keep it a secret for now. We'll do the unboxing of that. But he's heading up our AI and ML practice. So I've been catching up with him. He's been a bit of steer, and he was like, "Oh, you've made more progress than I thought." So I'm happy with that. So arguing with it. So, for example, GPTs can run code. Okay, but I deploy it, and it says, "Yeah, you run it locally." I went, "No, I've asked this is to you to run." It goes, "Yeah, okay, I can do that." It just becomes lazy, and then it'll here's the file to download. It's not there. Oh, I'll do it again. Or you leave it for a while, come back, it will just stop working because it's seen as inactivity. So it's I know that they must be running at a massive loss of what they charge, especially me. I don't think we pay that much, and we've been hammering it. So yeah, it will lie to you. It'll give you solutions that aren't there, unless you really go through, and you have to keep layering these instructions onto it. So you give it a don't ever do this, don't ever hallucinate, don't do this, and then you don't put something, always use the same font that's already there, and then it will just start using a different font sometimes. You go, well, why have you started doing that? Oh, I haven't told you not, but you weren't doing it, but you aren't. So I'm going to put another rule in there. And I mean, the only way of checking this stuff is have some sort of rule validation to make sure you do regression testing of all your AI parts. But you can only do this if you actually understand what you've got in your code and you actually got it into the components. So are my components working the same way that have any sort of Gen AI capability? So this is where you need to really understand of what you use Gen AI to code stuff for you. When coding is logical, the code executes. It will always be consistent in the way it behaves, unless something changed in that environment. The thing that changes the environment of any Gen AI instructions is the knowledge path it can take for any new question it gets, or the same question it gets, can vary because of the context that it has at that point it's been asked. And you can't pin context and say, okay, can't pin the knowledge to say always use the knowledge that was available at this point in time, because it's there to go and give you more routes and more paths. So yeah, you've got to to get this into production, to be consistent and be able to have business processes that are of a risk factor of, if they don't work properly, it's going to have a negative effect on the business or a high impact on the business. You need to make sure you've got a real rigorous testing framework that will ensure that the agents don't go rogue, and you need to do that with a good design.
So Chris, I'm tying this to a concept that data folks are familiar with, the cold and hot cache. So when you are in that, I'm working on an article right now, which will elaborate more on this. But here's the thing, the context window, right? So you ask it, and I've been developing this framework, and it still needs work. So you are in the context window, and you have the multi-turn conversation, and let's say you are at the 10th turn, and it tells you something. So up to that point, it has all the information in that context window that you provided, right? From the conversation itself and the files that you may have included in the conversation. So if you ask it to critique it, so this is one technique that I've been using, the red teaming. Assemble a jury and critique this last thing that you proposed. But you are doing it in the hot cache, because it has all the context already there. So it tells you, okay, I assembled the jury. This A says this, B says that, C says this. Implement these changes, and then you will pass the red teaming critique. But if you do this inside the same context window, right? Then basically the LLM or the agent only wants to prove that you did what it recommended. So it will always find, the confirmation bias, it will find ways to confirm that you actually completed what it recommended. So then you get the check mark.
Yeah.
Now, you have to do this in a separate window or using a separate LLM, where you check the validation, and I do stress testing, right, a lot.
Yeah.
And just but I have run into a situation. So I have done everything we've discussed so far, right? And I have a very serious prompt that I use, and I even have a check state command that every once in a while I run it, and it reinforces, hey, you have to do all these things.
Yeah, I did say, yeah, you're asking for improvements. Yeah,
exactly. So even doing that, it's like one of those fishes that, the short memory thing, right? Because it has a default mechanism, and no matter how much we stress it, it will default to that.
So
and
there's a limit to how much you can put in the instructions of how many characters it can reference, and there's a limit of how much it can keep in memory. But it won't tell you, if you go over it, it won't tell you, by the way, I'm ignoring part of this because it's too much. It won't tell you that, by the way, the cache that I've got so far is gone now. Actually, Cursor's quite good. Actually, when you're using Cursor, it'll tell you what percent of context it memories in memory. So yeah, so this, I just wrote a note here as well. I've got a new term, and basically context clusters. So you're going to have particular bits of context that are going to be grouped into a particular area, and yeah, Jessica's going to be the one to talk to on this. But at the moment, to prevent this misbehavior, we call it the misbehavior and the rogue agents or rogue behavior, there's so much like instructions, filters, and guidelines to prevent it doing what you don't want it to do. And if you go too generic with that, there's just so much out there. So if you identify a context cluster, this is hot off the press. I just thought about it. If you're able to go, okay, well, this is the cluster, and maybe this is what small LLMs or specialist LLMs are actually about, is now you've got an LLM that's trained speciality in this area. You've got your context cluster, that's your own knowledge graph that you've added, has your own instructions of where you want to go, what you want to do. It's going to be much easier to scale and get predictability for that context cluster. If you've given the whole context layer out to everything to go and use as one big thing, which Shane Gibson has been talking about. There was a conversation on Juan's post about it, and I call it the context layer because everyone was.
He's calling context plane.
He is context plane. But I prefer context layer anyway. You can call it a plane if he wants, but it's not flying anywhere.
He's insisting on that. Yeah, I know.
I'm not precious on it, but it's. I think there's a whole of like you can have. I think you have domain clusters in there now as well. Okay, so we've got right. Someone else has saved Ryan from being the mono replier, but thank you, Ryan, we put some more Ryan stuff on there as well. Please put some. Right, let's put this one in. He's great knowledge, so thank you, Ryan. We'll take that one. But it's a big up to you as well. So here you go. So shout out there, and just backing us up on our comment of yes. I'll share on this one a little story, which is not the nicest example, but an example all the same. So an amateur scientist with no history of any mental illness or anything like that, but was very very clever thinking, but very not social. He's using ChatGPT to review his paper on time travel.
Yeah, I heard you talking about that.
Okay, it told him he had invented time travel and convinced him that and the guy believed it in the end, and it sent him crazy. So, and I think that's just going to get worse out there. Of constructive criticism is what shapes us and gives us individuality and the humanity part. So I think if we take that away, we're in a bad place. It's bad enough now you have to watch what you say because political correctness to some degree, and we're joking with your friend and you may say something, someone overhears it. Oh my God, that person just called them an a-hole. I can't believe it. But it's banter between friends, and yeah, so that's what makes us humans. So they're all coming in, flipping thick and fast at the moment. So, well, hi, Anna. Learning data analytics without having a technical background. Learn a particular business and then work out analytics for that business would be my.
Now is the time to. It's so much easy to learn anything. Just use LLMs and you can design your own learning path or ask it to design it for you.
Yes.
And, So
good point.
Chris, so what should we unpack here? Because following on Ryan's comment, right, and what you just said, this example, I know when I was developing this learning AI framework, right? So I had been working on this in the winter. I put it aside, and then other things happened, and I said, okay, it's time to pick it up, because I started to say more and more as it became evident we need a new way to we need to redefine what learning is, right, in the context of AI. And this ties to what you said at the beginning. We have a lot of fundamental knowledge that we've been building throughout lives. So then we don't know React, JavaScript or TypeScript. We don't know the frameworks, but when it shows us, when we vibe code an app and it says, oh, install this or you do this, and I know to ask, okay, I want unit testing. I want you to explain to me, why do I need this? I want to give me alternatives. We know what to ask, and that is fundamental. That critical thinking, right, and the analytical part, we know what to ask.
Logic over languages, I call it.
Exactly. So then we push on that, right? We have the architectural mind, so we push on that. But if we just accept anything it gives us, okay, so back to the framework I was working, and it started to, there were certain areas where I didn't feel too confident. And what it was giving back to me, it sounded so fantastic and it made sense, right? So I was so enthralled in it. The love bombing, I call this the love bombing. Oh, I cannot believe that I came up with this fantastic thing, right? It's seductive. That's why I call it a seduction loop. So then we keep on, I keep on working, but then I'm starting to apply my own framework. Okay, you need to stress this. You need to critique this. So I'm using different LLMs to go on this. And Claude just gave me such a horrible, demolishing approach, right? And that's when I realized, oh, you are not critiquing me, you are demolishing, you are just rattling, right? You're a troll. And then I coined this phrase that I use in all of my instruction prompts. Critique by building, not by demolishing. I literally use that phrase because I don't want you to push me down, so then I lose myself, right? And then I start to think I'm worthless. I want to learn so I can build and do it better. That's the point. Okay, so then when I started employing that, it's giving me back, critiques, and then I build on that, and then I'm started to have this internal friction, like, how do I know that even when it's critiquing me and it's giving me information, it's not just playing along and continuing the seduction, right? Because I know the solution and the problem, and I cannot separate them. So I'm in a system where I am trying to find a solution to a problem, but the problem is the solution. That it's so intertwined that in that moment I just stopped. And I said, I cannot break this freaking cycle. I don't know what's the solution here. So I put it aside, and I've decided to go back to my SQL roots. And I wrote a really good post, something that was on my mind for a while, stop grouping everything. Because I've seen so many people write queries and they put all the attributes and they group by them. And I'm thinking, oh my God, who taught you to do this? So I put on my teacher cap and builder and I wrote that post, and somebody who's very influential on the SQL benchmarking came and commented and said, Ramona, you can do this even better if you do benchmark. And I thought, oh, that was not my intention, right? I mean, I proved theoretically, but then it gave me an idea, right? So why don't I actually do the benchmarking? So of course I'm going to my assistant. Okay, let's do this. And I'm just initially, I just wanted to have some numbers. I ask it to generate me the data, and I run the queries, and I get 30-40% improvement. And I said, wow, that's great. It confirms what I thought. But then I put a researcher cap on.
Yeah.
One example, two examples, that does not prove a theory. So I need a more sustainable benchmarking framework.
Yeah.
So then I start incrementally building this thing, right?
And that's the thing. You try and do a thing in one big go. It just
no, and
check it every single point and make sure that you regression test, because things stop working that used to work.
Exactly. And as I progress in it, I'm very much aware of the seduction. So I keep such a close eye on, and especially this is my expertise, right? So you cannot fool me in this area, because I know I'm the expert here.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It tried to take me into such crazy directions, and every time I would try those things, of course the system would collapse, because it's not a way to do it. And how many times I just wanted to slap the computer.
And I think it's knowing where to call BS on it. So I'll give you an example. The other day was I've been doing some automation internally. I'd written all this stuff to automate some PowerPoint. I've hit some limits. I thought I'm going to move it across to Google. And up until now, it's been very problematic to do this. Every time I released it, I'd always have a library of Python it was. And I was getting there, and it was nearly a clean deployment but it was always something. It was getting there. And then I thought, right, this is too much. I'm going to go a different route. So went this other route, convert all the code to Google Code, set up a Google account, set up access the shared drive, did everything, set it all up, released the code, and it came back in. It worked with one little tweak. I had to say, well, what about this? And it did that. I thought, the first time ever, it's just that's amazing. And I was so blown away. And I went, oh, this can't be right. No. So what file did you use? I found one in there anyway, because I couldn't get access to the one that you telling me to, so I just used this one. You didn't tell me that it went wrong. I was blown away. And then I thought, how have you converted? Like, you've now automated a PowerPoint file, have access to the Google Slides, and you've done a better job with converting it to another one. So yeah, and now when thing suggested you should go and use this Python library, I said, it's not very good though, is it? He goes, no, it's not. So, but it will still suggest these things. So using your domain knowledge in a certain area, building your technical skills using that domain knowledge. Back to I think and about shout out to the community already. Like, they're already like giving advice on there. So
absolutely. And developing that, right? I was so focused and aware, and I knew I told it I don't want to run this on my machine, because this have to be reproducible. So I said I want to do it on the cloud, and help me write the compose, right, to do that, and use the oh my god, I'm missing the terms right now, but it helped. I've learned a lot about orchestration and I knew I did this DevOps training some years ago, so it came in so handy because I knew exactly what to ask it. And but I had to keep telling it, hey, I want a fresh image each time, because I don't want to run into the hot cache problem. So we need to restart this container each time. And I'm running separate queries. And this has to be done separately, because otherwise you pollute the benchmarking. So if I just want to produce results, that will support my claim, then of course I know how to, I know enough of this stuff to know how to manipulate you into giving me what I want to just do the confirmation bias. So I have learned so much DevOps in that process. And as you said before the chat, right, the late nights and all of that, because I went back into that grad school mindset, and it was exhilarating to finally be able to build something that I never wanted to do, years ago. Like, who wants to go into the nitty-gritty details of DevOps?
Yeah.
So as I'm iterating this and I collect my data, and I'm thinking I already had several other articles in mind, and I'm thinking I really want to build a framework that is, follows the DRY principles.
Yeah.
And I want this, and then as I'm doing that, I'm thinking, oh, now I want to parameterize it and use it for separate databases and data warehousing, and it's exciting because I came up with the ideas and designs, right? And I used it to help me with the bash scripting, because that was by design. I did not want to use Python to write the scripts in Python. Nothing against Python, but I wanted to, this have to be portable, and I just wanted to go in that direction. So of course I needed help, because I'm more fluent in Python than in Bash. And so when I had to keep such a close eye on what it was giving me back, and not allowed myself to be seduced and all of that.
Yeah.
And and all the stories. Oh, I'm so sorry. And
I'll do it properly this time.
Yes.
Just do it properly the first time. Don't give me these excuses.
Chris, it was like having a conversation with a partner. Yes.
Yeah.
I promise, Mommy, I promise I won't do it.
Yeah. I've done my homework. No, you haven't. Look, what's that? This bit's all blank. Oh, do I have to? Yes, do it. Oh.
So let me tell you. Oh, sorry, you wanted to say something?
I've got two things. Well, two things. Well, one was blockers are no longer blockers now. When you want to do something, whereas before, I think, I'll speak to someone tomorrow and they'll do that because they know about this.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem if I have now is I don't have that. I just go and do things myself now, which means that my idea, I don't. It's hard to stop doing things now because I'm like, before it be a natural end, I'll wait till I do that. No, it's just one more release. Just one more.
Guilty as charged.
I'll do it in the morning. But it is
it's seductive. It's seductive to be able to do these things that we didn't do
before.
Yes.
So I'll give you a funny one as well. So I'd seen on Instagram that this guy cooked a steak in the dishwasher and peeled up, and then he pan-fried it. Anyway, so I was joking with my girlfriend the weekend, and I was saying, I'm going to cook this in case. No, I said, look, it's a recipe. And Google Gemini, I was on the time, it said, you don't want to do that. There's things here. And I said, well, if I vacuum sealed it, if I put no detergent in there, I did a temperature check on it, and he said, no, you still would. And I said, I'm doing it anyway. And then he came back and, okay, if you're going to do it, but here's the warning. Yeah, make sure you do this, and this. So you can override it.
Of course. And that is what I wrote in that first article in this series with the seduction loop, that the biggest problem I see in this era is not job replacement, but is agency replacement. Our agency, because it's seductive, and we keep.
Go on. Put this one up.
We keep. Oh, I got distracted. It's so seductive, and we keep adopting, little by little, right? And all these things that we adopt and we allow to change in our ground truth, they compound over time.
Yeah.
And a little bit of change here. Oh, I'm great. I know that this is the way to do things, and a little bit of that, and we really. We unground ourselves. I think that is a huge problem. So we have to be so to pay attention, and so careful. We have to be so careful and how we adapt. Of course, I'm all in, right? The progress that it allows me, it's there is no comparison.
Yeah.
But also the inverse is true, right? The regression that it allows, it's also very scary. We forget to do things.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll compare it.
That's right, Christine.
Yeah. So So exactly, there is. In the 90s, obviously, I think that was the web era. When everything went all e-commerce. So and there was no playbook then. There's no playbook for it now. But I think the difference between now and then is in the 90s you had to go and learn all this code. Everyone knew business. Everyone knew these businesses. Now it's now how do I do all the code for this to make this happen? The difference is now is everyone knows the coding and the engineering.
Everyone knows.
Okay, but there's more of a specialism than
that. Yes.
The gap now is the business people now have got a bit more of an advantage because or architects or something like that. Maybe people can design things now. The engineers are less important, whereas the engineers were like, well, we got the keys to the car sort of thing. We're not going to do it as you tell us. Well, actually, you are, because now you're an agent. Well, maybe if you tell it the right way.
But Chris, in that respect, right? So the focus was on learning a new language, new this, new that. But the training for building from first principles, right, and this architectural mind, it's not like we were taught any of that. So we picked up pieces here and there, and then we saw the bigger picture. And because it took a lot of time to end up being in a DBA role, or right. So we always had to build up, but we never had this kind of wisdom, if you will, to look from above and see, right, to see that. So I think that we developed those skills of course, we had to build from the ground up. So we went bottom up and we developed this. But when we had questions, when we didn't know how the pieces fit together, who would we ask? Which book do you go to check? Or it's so now I think we can have that laser precision and just go and ask, I want this, because I know that is what I want.
So this is an interesting point. You touched on education and how education is going to have to change. And let's do 3 eras then. So we had the pre-web era, we had the web era, and now we've got the Gen AI era. So pre-web era, people had to do well academically. You had to read books. The only way you were succeeding was to read books and to write essays and be good at spelling and be good at
especially.
Yeah, exactly. So good at grammar and all these other things. Otherwise, you're not getting top grade on that. So you move on to the web piece. Okay, so there was some compensation really to that sort of a way. So now people can watch videos to learn, which maybe weren't as good. Maybe some people use spell checkers now to help them with that. And there was the route to learn was opened up to wider pieces, and the education system changed to adapt to that. I don't know. I know that I don't know. My kids grown up now, and so I don't have any connection. But my sisters, some of the kids are still at school or in education. They're not able to catch up as quick as this. So they're trying to look for, essays that have been written in thing or copy, plagiarism now, where it's not just one. The guy that used to do everyone's homework for them has lost his role now, isn't he? To go and get paid all their pocket money to do their homework for them. So probably the ones that will be more successful and the ones that do have the good ideas weren't able to articulate them maybe in the right way, but they're their own ideas, and then enhancing those ideas with it, rather than the people that could read, repeat, maybe look to read, but actually it's just they've learned how to learn, they haven't learned how to do. And yeah, so I think the education system is going to need to catch up with. I think he's going to unlock lots of people that were probably overlooked in the past, as you know, didn't get a university degree, all the rest of it. I think there's an untapped talent out there that probably wouldn't have seemed to be the best, but probably better than the rest.
Yes, you summarize it very well. And it's those who know.
It might be from experience.
Yes, it's okay, sure. I had to go the other route because I was a kid growing up in communist Romania. So what I had on my side was my intellect, and teachers wanted to work with me. So I was privileged in that way, right?
Yeah, that would be the personal, the humanity aspect. People like working with people they like. People like mentoring people that they like talking to. If it's natural, it doesn't become it's not a burden if you enjoy. And I think you learn from that experience as well.
Yeah, and my daughter received the opposite of that because with the brain that she has, she needed different. She sees things differently, right? And they wanted to put her on the same level with all the other kids when she was levels above.
Oh no! Yeah, well, yeah.
So then, in that situation, they assume that kids who are highly intellectual, they can do it on their own, but they need specialized education to work at their level. And she complains about AI so much. She always says, I'm tired of this AI generated Google search. I just want to see something that a human wrote,
post about just being an electrician or a plumber nowadays.
To your point earlier, the problem that we are having now is that the overabundance of content and making a decision. Okay, what am I gonna learn? Or maybe I know what I want to learn, but what content do I use for that learning? And
I mean, I get asked this all the time, and it's for me. I mean, I'm fortunate, however, I fell into a role that in a company that did data, right? So I didn't decide I want to get into data. Data found me, and so I was lucky. And so I'm asking, how do you get it? And so the advice I give it's not from my experience of how I got into it, but I can only give how I think you can get into it. But I always use the term passion, which is sometimes looked frowned upon because you're having passion to do a role. You got to like what you do, and I know
absolutely.
you don't always have a choice of entry into these things. But again, with the power of Gen AI and Kevin, if you really have a passion for solving a problem, so I always quote this. One of guys still works for us now. He was our first grad we hired. I got the job in 15 minutes, and anyone else maybe copy this technique. He came to me and goes, I saw Elon Musk tweets in like Bitcoin price, and I saw there was so I went to prove it. I did analysis, got all the tweets, got the Bitcoin price, I did sentiment analysis, and he presented it back. All right, that was something I thought the other day, but he's thought it, done it,
yes, and proved it.
So don't repeat that one because obviously it's a bit. But if there's something out there you think, I've got I'm a astrologer. I'm going to work out the comet mass that's going that way and just do a bit of thing and just do. And here you go. Here's my stats on that because I thought it was interesting. You've now showed interest in actually solving the problem. It's problem solving, how you approach the problem, and that's the passion you need.
Absolutely, and it's also. So to find the right people to hire, the category that you described, right? Because there are people like that in the world, but if you go through a generic hiring system that just you have to have check marks. I know for myself, I I am outside of this. I you know, the Venn diagrams that are where I am in. There are so many Venn diagrams, so many circles to you know, to where I fit and where they intersect. So it's almost like I have to define the job for myself.
Yeah.
And just say, here it is.
You should work with Jessica. You should team up with Jessica.
Yes.
There you go. You heard Jessica. If you're listening now, that's yeah. You should make that happen.
We are due for a conversation anyway.
Good. There you go. No, I think it would be.
I have a lot of ideas for the context layer and all of that, right? And
the two of you are on the same. Yeah, they both have value. I have to give a shout out to Christine because. I think first time watcher, maybe, I don't know, but definitely many comments today. So lot of interesting stuff. I will check out your post on that. And thank you anyone else that's still listening. We've gone right up to the hour as well, and yeah, this was natural flowing. We didn't prep anything before this.
No. Just let me say something before we end. So a year ago, right? I came first into the show.
Yeah.
The show just turned toddler a month back, and you didn't say anything. I reminded you. So happy anniversary! Happy anniversary! And this is my third time in the show. So 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, exactly. It's walk in the park now, isn't it? You see, like
oh yes. And Chris. We are good friends, and this is the way we can communicate because of the busy lives. So I'm really happy and grateful. Really happy and grateful.
It was great to jump in and take the week. We've got JP, who's a guy I met at Day-to-Day Texas, the funniest French guy I've ever met. So I'm not offending all the French there, but he's hilarious. Not saying that all French aren't, but he's
Jean-Georges.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, JP.
Yes.
So he's on next week. I'm not sure what we're talking about, but yeah, tune in for next week. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ramona.
Thank you.
Thank you, all the guests. All the comments from the attendees, and yeah, till next week. All right, goodbye.